Hey everyone, it's Jenny. If you haven't watched Weak Hero Seasons 1 and 2 yet, be careful. This entire episode is basically one giant spoiler bomb. If you find this kind of deep character analysis uncomfortable or think I'm going way too overboard, feel free to hit that back button now. Before we dive into all your amazing comments, I gotta say something about why this drama means so much to me. This was director Yoo Soo-min's very first time directing, and honestly, most of the cast were pretty new actors too. What absolutely blew me away about this work is that everyone felt so fresh and genuine. For the first time in forever, I found myself completely absorbed in the actual characters, instead of thinking, oh, that's so-and-so actor playing this role. Like, I wasn't seeing Park Ji-hoon or Choi Hyun-wook, I was seeing Si-yoon and Soo-ho, you know? That's why I want to keep this drama alive in people's memories for as long as possible. And discovering that there are so many fans out there who are just as obsessed with this show as I am, that makes me incredibly happy. Okay, so let's get into your comments because wow, you guys have been asking some seriously deep questions. First up, I've been getting quite a few questions about whether Soo-ho and Si-yeon actually had romantic feelings for each other. Like, this topic just will not quit. One subscriber left this really detailed comment asking, can I know where to find the follow-up interviews where the director says that he didn't mean they have romantic feelings? I can't find it. Also, do you think they could have left it open for interpretation? Because I always viewed it as a romance with the way they acted, especially for Si-yoon. All I've found is the director saying it was like a first love type thing, and that he can say it now that it's been some time. Ji-hoon saying Soo-ho was like a first love to him, Soo-ho saying that it was like a high school romance type thing. I'm not sure because I keep finding different translations. And Si-yoon saying that Soo-ho made a home in Si-yoon's heart. I always viewed it as more than just a friendship, like a crush at least because of the constant tension and staring and stuff. I responded with, yeah, you're right. Everything I know about this comes from what the directors and actors said during that homecoming day event. And then the next day or so, director Yoo Soo-min did a print interview where he was laughing about how much buzz his Soo-ho and Si-eun had their first love comment created. Now here's my take on this whole first love metaphor between Soo-ho and Si-eun. This drama isn't actually about boys' love at all, right? They completely avoided any sexual or romantic directing elements. What the director meant, like I mentioned in my audio, was that for the acting direction of Soo-ho and Si-eun, they borrowed that back-and-forth dynamic you see between male and female leads in romantic comedies for their directing approach. And like you said, I totally agree this. Drama lets viewers interpret things in different ways. I think this show doesn't easily define the boys' emotions, and that's why it can vary depending on who's watching. Later in that Class 2 commentary YouTube video, you probably saw it too, where director Yoo Soo-min confirmed Soo-ho was Si-yeon's first love. But this doesn't mean anything sexual. It's more like Soo-ho came into Si-yoon's isolated life as this huge presence like a parent, brother, friend, all rolled into one, and I think he used the first love concept as a metaphor for Si-yoon breaking out of his own shell. Now, speaking of deep character analysis, let me share something that really caught my attention. After I posted my Beom-seok psychological analysis audio, I received a comment that really made me think differently about his character. This subscriber wrote, answering here because I'd like to discuss with all of you, I don't think Beom-seok's adoptive father was the root. There's something before that the show almost doesn't touch and is only implicit. Beom-seok is an orphan. It actually only hit me when Si-yeon's projection of him showed up, and the only thing he wanted from Si-yeon was company. Now, this is really psychological. After all, Beom-seok simply didn't care much for Si-yeon after he drifted away from Soo-ho. He let Si-yeon get beat up, never said thanks for Si-yeon's protection, and basically didn't acknowledge Si-yeon's presence until he was reminded of how dangerous the boy was. And then he just acted as, oh well, I'm getting what I deserve. But when Si-yeon thinks of Beom-seok, Beom treats him as an equal, something appropriate, and seeks his company, something out of character. He also comments on how being left behind would be like Si-yoon saying his new friends are more important than him, and I like it about Si-yoon. Si-yoon is not a regular folk. Yes, he's quite violent, but he's also fiercely loyal to the point of overlooking his friends' faults. Beom-seok left him for new friends, not the other way around. So, yeah, Beom actually has a very deep fear of abandonment and a concept of protection that involves physically beating people down. He learns it when he doesn't beat the bandit and gets beat up by his adoptive father. The best way to keep safe is to beat someone who's weaker or weakened. That's why he targets Young Ai and later a defenseless Suho and also uses his power, money, to buy other people's strength. There's a lot more that we can say about him, but I do see the roots of his behavior in poorness and weakness. I found this really interesting because I hadn't thought about the orphan aspect being the root cause. We can analyze Beom Seok's psychological changes from many angles, but I think because he's an orphan who never received unconditional love and then became an abused adoptee, when he felt like he wasn't getting back what he gave Suho, like the Instagram follow situation, he felt deeply betrayed and that became another trigger. I'm absolutely not justifying Beom Seok's actions, but while kidnapping Young Ai was really pathetic behavior, his final explosion on Suho was such an impulsive release of all his love-hate feelings towards Suho. That action wasn't just dark emotions like inferiority, jealousy, and betrayal, but also Beom Seok's unfulfilled need for deep friendship and love that he felt he could never get back from Suho. This same subscriber came back with even more insights. They wrote, "Oh yeah, I didn't rewatch, so I forgot that Suho used to be an object of affection, not just desire for Beom Seok. Yeah, he was really caring at first. I don't think that what Suho couldn't give him back was the main issue for him, though. I mean, he was obviously jealous, and I could interpret it as platonic until he asked, implicitly but surely, if Suho liked Yonggi because they were having sex. That was the, oh my god, he does like guys point for me, and as we said, it adds a lot to talk about Beom. But I believe that what put him in his hate path was Suho stopping him from torturing his bullies. He was so broken in that scene. The way he speaks shows how betrayed he felt, and Seon and Suho are not the best people to deal with someone feeling that way. After all, they're teens. I can forgive him because Seon forgave him, but I 100% would have dealt that last punch lol. Apparently that was Ji-hoon's decision. From what I understood, the directors let him choose whether or not Seon would beat Beom Seok. Ji-hoon is a fantastic actor. He understands Seon so very deeply. I love that he didn't punch Beom because I would have. But this is not Seon. He would never punch a friend in grief. I wrote back, "Okay first, Beom Seok." Yes, I became totally convinced reading the script book that Beom Seok had feelings beyond friendship for Suho. Of course, nowhere in the script book does it mention Beom Seok's sexual orientation at all, but I mentioned it in my audio too. Anyway, I really love Beom Seok's character because he contains all the faces we've seen in real life. But I think Beom Seok himself didn't know his feelings for Suho. Teenage boys don't know how to define their emotions, right? They act on their feelings first, and defining them with words comes later. But directing-wise, him grooming his hair and clothes before meeting Suho and Yonggi at the cafe, or seeing that photo of Yonggi and Suho together becoming the start of his downward spiral, especially when he went to the club with Jongchan's group and canceled Suho's Instagram follow, with such a desperate expression, that face. Hong Kyung was absolutely insane with that expression. And when he was almost certain that Yonggi must have given Suho something back as a woman for providing temporary shelter, Beom Seok was already convinced they were having sex and was testing Yonggi about it, I think. None of this directing ever happened with Seon, right? Seon just had that fierce, sensitive, cat-like expression until Suho came along as parent, brother, friend, all rolled into one. Then his guard completely melted, showing that soft spot. At the end when Beom Seok, this scene gave me such cinematic trauma. Kicking Suho's face in the ring was ultimately because Suho said, "Stop blaming others, Beom Seoka," touching Beom Seok's rock bottom. We might not realize it, and more than Seyoon and Beom Seok thought, Suho knew Beom Seok well, having that bottom exposed was the ultimate trigger that made him destroy Suho's face. Now, shifting gears to another topic that's been generating a lot of discussion, I've been getting questions about some of the other characters, particularly about Yonggi's role in the story and whether there were any hidden intentions behind her character. After I posted my video about Korean honorifics and Suho's humor that English subtitles couldn't capture, I got tons of comments. One that really caught my attention was from a subscriber asking, "Can you make a video to clarify this? I heard They added Youngie to the drama and gave slight hint of romance with Seon, so that Suho and Seon are not seen as BL couple. I know they are not, and it was just the direction that gave their relationship a mellow base. But what's Young-ee's angle and how their orientation differs from the manhwa? I responded, whoops, this is the first time I've heard about Young-ee having that kind of intention. Gotak and Baku, news to us LOL. I see, interesting theory. Actually, this is just my personal take. But I mentioned in my Beom-seok analysis audio that I think Young-ai was actually one of the triggers that caused Beom-seok's downfall. I haven't read the manhwa yet, so I wouldn't know. But I think this drama was directing purely about boys' friendship and didn't deal with any sexual aspects at all, since that wasn't the theme. So saying Young-ee was placed there to prevent love interpretations seems like a bit of a stretch emo. I think Young-ee's role was actually as another runaway teen due to irresponsible parents, and she served as a helper for Si-eun. Without Young-ee, Si-eun couldn't have even found Gil-soo's hideout. However, I think this drama cleverly directed the boys' friendship by comparing it to love. This drama isn't love at all, but deals with strong bromance between boys, and I think the production team controlled that level really well. If this drama had openly portrayed love between the boys, I probably wouldn't have been as drawn to it. Haha. And finally, there's one more topic that keeps coming up in comments that I think really gets to the heart of these characters' relationships. The question of forgiveness and what might happen if these characters were to meet again. 1. Subscriber asked what I think about whether Suho could forgive Beom-seok after waking up. This is such a complex question that really gets to the heart of Suho's character. I told them, yeah, I saw that interview too. If Suho and Beom-seok's story continues, I also think, like Choi Hyun-wook said, that Suho wouldn't forgive Beom-seok. But not because he holds grudges. I think he just wouldn't see a reason to. Suho isn't mentally weak enough to let what happened continue affecting his life after waking up. He's mentally strong enough to let the past be the past. So even if Beom-seok showed up to apologize, he'd just be like, okay, never mind, and brush it off. He wouldn't hug Beom-seok and say he forgives him or anything. He'd just forget about it, or at least pretend to. That's just the kind of guy Suho is. Having these kinds of conversations with you subscribers is honestly so much fun. Thanks to your comments, I get to think about these characters from completely new angles and discover perspectives I never would have considered on my own. I really hope we can keep having these discussions and analyses together. I want Weak Hero to be remembered and talked about by as many people as possible for as long as possible. Thank you so much to everyone who's been leaving such thoughtful, detailed comments. Your insights make creating these videos so much more rewarding. I'll definitely be back with more analysis content soon.